Hey everybody, it's Corey here, another Zapp Comics Radio podcast. Been having some fun with these, and I like doing these because I like to talk about something that I enjoy, and also others. That's why we have special guests on. Today, it's actually just me and Dr. Johnny Knoll here.
Hey, how's it going?
Because me and Johnny are from the same generation. Obviously, we're only a year apart. You know, I'm going to be 38, Johnny's going to be 39. So we grew up, you know, primarily in the 80s as far as our childhood. I mean, obviously the 90s kind of count, but the 80s was our big thing. And, you know, the world's a little bit different now. You know, it's a lot of safety controls on things, and they question parenting and whatnot. But another thing is food. You know, you and I are junk food fanatics. I love candy. I love, you know, fatty foods. I love fast food, which is why I'm on such a big diet, because I was getting a little hefty. Because if I'm hungry on my day off, if I'm home, I'll just have 4 bowls of cereal. I'll just have 4 bowls of cereal, you know, because like it's easy, you know. And my daughter is little, so she drinks whole milk. So there's nothing better than a whole entire box of Lucky Charms with whole milk. But getting back to it, I want to talk to you about our love for, like, cereal. Because I know some kids nowadays might be like, what's the big deal? When we were kids, that's what we ate. You know, nowadays, kids don't eat breakfast. They just run over to Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts, get an extra large coffee or whatever they drink, and they're good, or Red Bull or whatever they drink. It's just fine. But we would eat cereal. Yes. We love cereal. It was marketed towards us, which it isn't anymore. Every other commercial on television during our viewing time was commercials for cereal. They had cartoon characters. They were movie themed. You know, a new movie come out, you get cereal. One of my all-time favorite cereals is Blueberry, which now is only available at Halloween, but back in the day, it was available all year round. I compare, if you ever go to a supermarket, you see the cereal aisle, it's only like half the length. When we were kids, it was the entire aisle. Yep. I compare that to Toys R Us, when you used to go in the board game aisle, was the entire wall, because board games ruled the world, and now they're almost like obsolete. But that was the thing. So cereal was great because the box was cool. It was like a Happy Meal, but with cereal, because you got a toy, the box did something. You know, you would sit there and eat. My mother, who I love to death, would always take my cereal and pour it into like a Tupperware thing. So I never got the box. So it was
really?
I would at first, but she would put in, you know, like so it wouldn't get fresh.
See, I thought you were doing to get the
toy?
Get the toy out.
No, I'd get the toy out that way too, but she would get rid of the box, and I like looking at the box because it always had like this, you know, facts on it or a game.
If you remember, like later on they didn't, but when we were still younger, they used to put the whatever the prize was in with the cereal.
Oh yeah, it wasn't bagged. It was like it was literally in the.
Sometimes it was bagged. Sometimes it was, but it was in the cereal, and you had to like. I remember going in there and digging to the bottom of the cereal, put your whole damn hand in there, try to get the whatever it was out, and then later on they started putting it outside of the actual
literally it would
packet,
be like
next to the bag,
or at the end they would actually have it where you can see it like a window box.
Yeah.
When we were kids, it was in it. It was like a Cracker Jack. It was
exactly.
In there. It was in there. You had to earn it. Everything's spoon fed to you. No pun intended. But so cereal. I had this conversation, you know, a lot of people ask me what we talk about at the shop a lot, obviously comics, but I think the number one topic we always talk about is sports here at the shop, because it's just what we do. But it's also like a lot of stupid, just like, conversations like this, and a lot of it's like favorite candy, favorite cereal, you know, favorite pizza, you know, TV shows, whatever. And cereal comes up a lot. And the one thing that I'm baffled by, and I know I'm in the minority here, is how much people love Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I love almost every cereal, that's especially like, you know, the sugary kind. I hate that cereal. I'll eat it dry, but as soon as milk gets in there, I don't like it. You know why? It's weird though, because I love French toast. Yeah. But it's just something about when cinnamon hits the milk, the cereal is just. But people they get very angry with me when I say. But I notice it's the '90s generation that grew up with that, because we didn't have that when we were little. That came up in the '90s, I think.
Well, no, it was
around.
I mean, it was later, like maybe later '80s.
Yeah, but it hit big in the '90s. Yeah, well, like the '90s crowd.
Well, I'm sure, like, because a lot of the other ones were probably like gone, like not around as much as when we were kids. Yeah. I mean, I liked it. I like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and I mean, See, for me, it's a little bit different. Like, I don't eat, because I'm, like, lactose intolerant, so, I mean, unless I have lactate, I either just eat it dry now. So, but even then I liked it, but I understand what you're thinking. Like you said, it's the milk.
Well, the milk makes it sweet. Like, I before I had my daughter, who is going to be 3, I was using skim milk, and it didn't taste the same, obviously, but you get used to it.
Yeah.
But once you put whole milk in there and you taste it, it is so sweet and it is so good, and it doesn't fill you up. And the thing, the boxes now are really small, like they're really thin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like the boxes you get like at Costco now, that's kind of like what the boxes were when we were kids. Like you got these big jumbo boxes of, and I ate Cheerios like crazy when I was a kid. But I used to put so much sugar on it where when I would always make sure when I scooped the Cheerios up, the spoon would scrape the bottom and it would come up with like crystallized sugar on each scoop. And then, of course, when you drink the milk, it's sugary milk.
Yeah.
And I love it. And I love Cookie Crisp. Thing is, too, I love chocolate milk, but I hate Cocoa Krispies and I hate Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah, I
don't know why.
I like Cocoa Krispies. I like Cocoa Krispies. They were good.
I'm not a Cocoa Krispie guy. I was, of course, younger. I was a Cheerios kid.
Yeah.
But, Lucky Charms, Frosted Flake, Cookie Crisp. Cookie Crisp, it to me, it's not even cereal. It's just like something perfect.
What was that?
Cookie Crisp.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a cereal to me. It's like something perfect in a package.
See, the thing with Cookie Crisp,
they're little cookies.
They are. It's good. That's one of those ones though that unless you're quick with it, unless they get soggy.
Yeah, and I hate. You know what's funny? I love a lot of milk in my cereal, but if it gets soggy, like say I pour a bowl of cereal, and I'm ready to eat, and somebody comes to my door, my phone rings, I'll dump it out because if it's not crispy, I will not eat it. It's disgusting. That's why I don't like. It's hard for me to eat oatmeal and like cream of wheat because of the texture of it. I don't like it. And you know me, I'm the pickiest eater on earth.
Yes.
But I love cereal. I love it. I mean, like I said, my wife's always like, "Come on." I said she'd be like, "Oh, what'd you eat today?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm fine. I don't need to cook. I had And my daughter likes cereal, so I'm like, here's some of my cereal, and we would just eat like Raisin Bran all day, which is fine.
Raisin Bran.
Well, not really, but I want to get back on those. Like I said, they used to target this stuff towards us, and now everybody's so health conscious. They don't want so much sugar going to kids,
to kids,
which is fine. So, like, I know, was it Golden Grams had like a bear? Was it not Golden Grams?
No, it was what we did.
Golden Crisp.
Yeah, Golden Crisp was the bear.
The bear, you can look kind of like Yogi Bear.
Yeah, there's Honey Smacks. Well, they still use Diggum.
He's a little frog.
The frog.
But the Lucky Charms guy.
Yeah.
His name was Lucky, right?
Yeah.
That was on all the time.
Yeah.
Magically delicious.
Well, then the most common one, Captain Crunch. There was a million Captain Crunch. I hate
Captain Crunch. I do not like the taste of that cereal at all.
I don't mind it. We didn't see, like when I was a kid, we didn't get we got cereals, and I get certain of the ones, but like certain ones, like my mom would not get. I mean, like I didn't have like Lucky Charms, but even as a kid, I didn't like Lucky Charms. I didn't like with the marshmallows with the milk. I didn't like that until I got older and like eating it dry. It's wonderful, but
I don't like eating it dry because it like those marshmallows like they squeak in your teeth.
They do
stick to your
squeak,
teeth. I don't like it. Yeah. I have to have. I'll eat it if I have to dry, but I prefer obviously with milk. But I was not a Captain Crunch kid. No, thank you.
But
I love Kix. Like I like the plain cereals like Kix, and I wasn't into Fruit Loops until later on. Tricks. Tricks are good.
Tricks I could never. There's something weird about Tricks I could never get into. What is the other one? And Cocoa Puffs. They're similar. They're that.
I don't like Cocoa Puffs.
Like they're the round. Something with that texture just never sat. Because what was it? The other was the chocolate and the other's fruity. So it was like. But that's another thing. Like with I love the Rice Krispies. I like plain Rice Krispies.
Rice Krispies. Yeah.
I like the cocoa ones.
I don't like cocoa.
But like what was the other one? Well, they didn't have it. No, I was thinking of the Fruity Pebbles.
Fruity Pebbles are great, but I love Fruity Pebbles. But what makes me laugh is if you let them like stay on the bowl, you cannot get that thing off the bowl. It literally it's like it solidifies where it's like cement.
Well, it's like oatmeal. Like if you let oatmeal dry in there.
But I can't believe you can let that thing soak for a week. You cannot get that Fruity Pebble off there, and they're so good. I love. They actually had Fruity Pebbles for a short time when we were younger with marshmallows. I think it was called. It didn't last long, but I remember getting like the Nintendo one. It was half Zelda, half Mario.
Half Mario. Yep.
And like the Ninja Turtle one, and they had the I think.
Well, there was Pac-Man ones.
The Pac-Man ones, yeah. And I remember ice cream cones. They had little ice cream cones.
I'm sure. I remember OJ's, which was orange cereal, and like you could eat it with orange. Like I ate it with orange juice, like instead of milk.
That's disgusting.
It worked. I mean, well, the cereal was orange. Like,
yeah, but that didn't last long, obviously.
No, not really. I remember, it was probably like mid-'80s.
Yeah, no, thank you.
C-3POs?
C-3POs were awesome. I don't know if the cereal was good, but I just remember buying them.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, that's...
But that was the thing, too. Even if it was bad, you wanted it because of what it was.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of it was the same thing, just rebranded. I remember the Ninja Turtle one I got all the time, but I didn't really like it, but I would eat it.
Wasn't there marshmallows in that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was like turtle marshmallows.
Yeah, but they had like I think the thing looked like almost like netting. I don't know how to explain.
Like Crispex? No, not Crispex. Life?
Like
no.
I don't know, but
sorry, Life.
I don't like Life.
I love Life.
Everybody loves Life. I don't like Life.
Cinnamon Life?
No, cinnamon. No, I love me some cinnamon, but not in my cereal.
Give it to Mikey. Mikey will eat it.
Yeah, remember that Mikey likes it.
Yeah.
Every commercial was geared towards action figures, or cereal.
Cereals.
And candy.
Or McDonald's.
McDonald's. McDonald's is. I mean, it's still going strong. But.
I know, but it doesn't. Well, I mean, like they had the whole, the McNuggets. They had the Fry Guys. They had.
Do you remember the old playgrounds at McDonald's? They had like the hamburger head. Mm-hmm. You'd climb up and you'd go through the bars.
Mayor McCheese.
And is the purple one Grimace?
Yeah, Grimace.
Everything was themed like that. Mm-hmm. I remember driving to Florida. And you'd be in the middle of Virginia or, Georgia or whatever, and they would have, like, on the rest areas, these huge McDonald's with these huge playgrounds. And now they have, like, ball pits in them. But back then it was all themed like that. And you don't, obviously they're gone. I mean, you can get spoiled with the internet by going on and seeing pictures of this stuff. But it was different because everything, it seemed more innocent. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're so, like I said, they're so health conscious. They don't want, you drinking soda. I didn't drink soda really as a kid. Like, once we went somewhere, we never had soda in the house.
Yeah.
But if we went out, we could have soda. But we never had, like at your house where I'd open up the fridge and any type of, 12-pack can of soda's in there.
Well, I have to be ready for when you came over.
Well, that's the problem. And I have a weakness for blue. Blue's my favorite color. Blueberry, the milk was blue. I loved it. I remember when blue M&Ms first came out. I was so excited. And then, I don't drink it anymore, but I used to be addicted. And yes, I was addicted to blue Mountain Dew.
Mm-hmm.
I drank that, and you remember because you would buy it for me. I'd come over, and with my wife, we'd have dinner, and you'd give me that Aquaman glass, and you'd fill it up with blue Mountain Dew, and I would drink 3, 4, 5 of them at a sitting. I can't drink it anymore. I don't like the taste of it anymore.
Yeah,
it's very chemically to me. I don't know how to explain it, but
it is. Well, I mean, it's like just the flavor is so artificial.
I loved it. I remember blue Pepsi. I remember crystal clear Pepsi.
Yes, well, crystal, yeah.
So, it's like with candy, anything with blue raspberry, I loved. I have a sweet, like, that's my entire diet, which is why I'm on a diet, is consisted of sugar, dairy, and carbs. Because it wasn't pizza, it was a cheeseburger, and if not, it was, a bowl of cereal, or, extra large bag of peanut M&Ms. Mm-hmm. That's what I would eat, because it's filling. That's got peanuts in it. It's somewhat healthy. No, it's not. What are you doing? So that's why I'm big. But to go back to it, kids aren't exposed to it as much now. Everybody's in a hurry now. Like, we actually ate breakfast. Now then it's like, let's go, get, and you run out, and like I said, you stop at Starbucks. My wife does it. Get her coffee and go.
It's not a...
We work the shop here in Wayne is right next to Dunkin' Donuts. All day long, I see, high school kids, middle school kids in there all day long getting their coffees. And I don't know what else they get there. I don't know if it's coffee, but it's like...
Hot chocolate?
No, I don't know hot chocolate. It's like a caffeine drink. I don't know. Okay. I'm not a coffee drinker. I don't know what they call it. But anyways, they drink it all day long. I'd have a bowl of cereal, or a couple bowls of cereal. So, but as far as candy, though, I love candy. Like, I can't get enough of it. It doesn't fill me up. Whether it's Starburst, or Skittles, or even Circus Peanuts. Like, I know you don't like them.
No.
Circus Peanuts are those things that I can eat, and I'll eat like 1,000. Then when you hit 1,001, it's like disgusting. I'm like that with I don't like raisins, but I like them in things. Raisinets. I'll eat Raisinets like crazy, and then all of a sudden I'll eat one too many, and it's disgusting. I won't eat them anymore.
See, of those, I prefer Goobers over Raisinets.
It's the same to me. With Goobers, one with nuts, right?
The peanut ones, yeah.
It's fine. Like, I love Raisin Bran. Excuse me. I love cinnamon raisin bagels. I just can't eat raisins by themselves. It's not.
I used to eat a lot more when I was younger. Now,
either
way,
I don't like them.
like in my cereal, like now, like you say, like that. I don't now. I eat less like good cereals, I guess. Like I'll get Special K with.
I'll eat Special K. My daughter does Special K.
Well, with either the other ones, like either they have the chocolate, or like the strawberries in it.
A fruit doesn't belong in my cereal. I don't like fruit in my cereal.
See, no, I like those are good. The freeze dried strawberries in there.
No, I like Special K. Yeah. I'll eat that.
Well, I do. I mean, I like it plain too, but
because Special K, even the plain one, it's like sweet.
There's a sweet taste to it.
Yeah, like multigrain Cheerios. I think as an adult is my favorite like healthy cereal. No, it's not healthy, but that's the one I would go.
But even Honey Nut is pretty good. But
I don't like honey in my cereal either.
It's not too bad though.
I don't like it. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
I just don't like it. I don't like it, Johnny.
Damn it.
But it's in candy. The reason why I'm going on this was because to me, when I was a kid, going to a store, like I remember back in the day, my mother would give us $5, saying you and your brother split it. $2.50 when you're like 8 years old was a lot of money back then. Because I mean, I'm not saying we're going back to the time where comic books were a dime, but comic books were 75 cents. A candy bar was like a quarter or 35 cents. You can get a couple things, especially if you're 8, 9, 10 years old. Now you can't. You give them $20, you can't get anything.
Yeah.
But to change a little bit, I earlier today had a conversation about Super Mario Brothers 3. The original retail on that game was like $80.
Really?
Yes, it was like $80, $84 if I remember. And I remember being like, and this was like 20, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
It was. That is a lot.
But I think now they have it where the games cannot be over a certain amount. Because I think Final Fantasy like 2 or 3 was like $80, $90 too back in the day. They didn't have there was no standard where you had to be at a certain price. But I remember Mario was like, I think it was like $79, $98 or something like that.
I'm trying to think because like the Nintendo cartridges, they were either, was it $29 and $39?
Yeah, but then you'd have like a new release and it was like $80.
I don't remember that.
I would have to look it up. I think Mario 3 was
I'm not saying that it's not. I don't remember it being that much.
Or Mario 2, one of them.
No, it wasn't 2, I don't think. Because I'd had 2, I didn't have 3.
So I don't know. I don't know why I'm even. But I'm talking about the money. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but I just remember having a conversation earlier about like the way money is now. Yes. So I'm thinking like people complain when games go from $50 to $60 now. I mean that game was like $80. That was a long, that was a long time. $80 was a lot of money back then.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, what you think about? I mean, what you could get? I mean, how much were like what do you call it?
It was almost more than the system.
Yeah. Well, even if you think about which was probably around $100, if that, one of those huge play sets.
Yeah.
Like whether like the
AT-AT or
or no, well the AT was probably just probably like the Defiant.
Oh, the special.
Yeah, probably. I mean, that's probably almost like $80, $90.
Now that's for like 2 figures.
Yeah, you're right.
It's ridiculous how prices change. But again, kids played with toys back then, though, and plastic was cheaper. Kids don't play with toys now.
No, they don't play with
kids.
Kids
literally go from diapers to video games. I see it all the time in the shop. They'll come in, they'll buy a few figures, and then all of a sudden they're like we would play with toys almost until
you would play it through
almost high school. Not in high school, but 6th, 7th grade. Not play with them, but you'd have them.
Like 8th grade, let's say. 8th grade. Yeah.
Okay, now that you're in middle school, you don't touch this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't. The grown-ups are the ones buying the toys. Obviously, not playing with them, but you would go down the aisles and you would see, G.I. Joe play sets. Everything was playset driven. Now it's like 1,000 figures, maybe one playset, and it's just a rehash of something that was already out before. And it's priced through the roof. That's why I think Legos does so well, is because Lego has all the cool play sets that you wouldn't have as a.
Well, it's funny that I know we're going off with it, but people, I love that people complain when I was a kid, they didn't have these sets. I mean, which they really didn't. I mean, I had a firehouse. That was the only Lego
for Lego.
Set for Lego.
Yeah, Lego was very generic. It didn't have any themes.
And you just did whatever. But the reason it's so big is because of these theme sets.
Oh yeah, Lego's great. Listen, I cringe when I go into a Lego store and I see they have the entire Jabba's Palace or the Ewok thing. I didn't have that when I was a kid. Jabba, all I had was Jabba and this thing he sat on, which wasn't even really a Rancor pit. That was it. I mean, you can legit get the entire thing. They never made that when I was a kid. That was my favorite scene in any of the movies. It was the Jabba's Palace or the Sarlacc pit. You can get the skiff, Jabba's sail barge. You can get the Sarlacc.
Yep.
And there you can't. I mean, I know it's Legos, but you can at least get it. You couldn't get that when we were kids. I mean, they made it. They made a lot. I shouldn't say they didn't, but they made a lot. But like, they made Dagobah and whatever for a start. Kenner, but I couldn't. Like, the way things are geared now, it's like there's no Saturday morning cartoons anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Which I know it's not that big of a deal because you can get cartoons 24/7.
Yeah.
But it was a big deal. When you were a kid, you would get up at 7 in the morning and watch, whether it was Smurfs or whatever else was on, at the time, and the Superpowers, whatever.
Well, it made it special.
Yeah. No, of course.
You know, I mean, like, this was the time. This was the day of the week. That you were going to get up. You get up whenever. I mean, if you
it
get up.
Wasn't Superpowers. I meant Super Friends. I meant to say.
Okay. Well, there was. What was that? I was thinking Captain. Well, there was two different ones.
No, I'm thinking about the one with the Hall of Justice.
Okay, yeah, the Super. Yeah.
But then but we had it after school. After school, though. Also.
There was stuff that had during the week. Like, you had cartoons before school. Like, there would be like, I guess it's 6 to 8 maybe, and then after school, like 2 to 5. Like
because at 5 o'clock, all the reruns would come on. That's why I watched like Three's Company, and then they would show Charles in Charge. All that stuff was on.
Like NBC or all those would put the news on.
Yeah.
And then those stations would have the repeats on until the
8
news.
o'clock, whatever. The news, and then the shows would come on. But I mean, I know we started out to talk about cereal, but I guess we're just going to go into how fun it was being in the 80s because everything was geared towards kids.
Yeah.
Okay? You didn't have, we didn't wear seatbelts. You know what I mean? I know they didn't back.
Well, no,
I know they didn't before that.
See, that was, but when we were kids, though, that was when they did the changeover. I forget how old we were.
I never wore a seatbelt.
Really?
Ever. I never sat in the back seat either. I was always in the front seat.
Well, yes, I remember
on the floor. I'd sit in the hatchback. Lay up there.
Well, they used to have the bench seating.
The bench seating.
So I remember sitting there.
30 kids on those things.
And then I remember always saying, I want to sit in the front in the middle. And I used to sit in the front in the middle.
We didn't have, helmets or knee pads or elbow pads or anything. And
you rode your bike.
You rode your bike. And if you were 5 and your brother was 8, your 8-year-old brother took care of you wherever you went. Now it's like you see an 8 and a 5-year-old down the street, there's a problem. Well, I understand. This is a much safer world. I get it. But we would like the last generation to have that, freedom. You go home. Come home when it's dark. Like my dad and my grandfather would say, as long as come home when the street lights are on, you need to be home, and that was it. And especially in the summertime, it gets dark at 9 o'clock at night. You're gone all day, and you didn't eat. I mean, you found a way to figure things out.
Yeah,
we'd be deep in the woods, climbing trees 20, 30 feet high. No adults. Nothing happened. But obviously, it's a smaller world now. Online predator, all that's crap.
Well,
I know it's much safer now.
Well,
as far as that,
it's a different. I mean, that stuff was there.
But we didn't have rules. We
did,
but they weren't your rule was pretty simple. Like, come home at this time.
Yeah.
But we could do whatever we wanted. I would ride my bike for miles.
Mm-hmm.
Miles. Now I wouldn't let my daughter. She's only 3 now, but if she's like 8, and I'd cringe to have her walk down to the park. But that's what we did, and we were gone all day.
Mm-hmm.
No cell phones. No, I don't think we even used payphones. You just went.
Well, yeah.
You know why? Because your neighbors would watch out for you. You go through all the. If you walk through your neighbor's backyard now, they're gonna come out and arrest you.
Mm.
But I'm not complaining about now. I'm just saying, we had. It was a very kid-friendly generation. We're the last of it. 80s, because think of all the toy lines. Think of all the department stores. How big the toy sections were.
Mm-hmm.
It was ginormous. I mean, you obviously had Char World, you had Toys R Us.
Well, you had Char World, you had Toys R Us, you still had KB.
You had KB. Even Bradley's and Caldors, they all had huge toy sections.
Areas. And then, even Stern still had a toy section when we were kids.
See, I didn't have a Stearns by me.
I had Sears still had a toy section.
The Sears catalog, when I didn't have Stearns, we had Zayres, Ames. I don't know if you had Ames around here.
No, I don't think so, no.
But, it's just... but like I said, it was everything. They weren't so, because in the 70s they kind of broke that mold and they let you market anything to kids. But I remember when there was a Hot Wheels.
Well, it was in the 60s they had a Hot Wheels cartoon.
And they pulled it because it was like a commercial.
They said it was exactly.
It was too.
It wasn't until the 80s with the Reagan administration they took away the thing. So that's why supposedly that was the He-Man show, because the He-Man was a commercial, blah blah blah. Which really, it was, but it wasn't, because a lot of the stuff that was on the show wasn't really with the figures.
No,
like the Attack Track did not look like that.
No,
you know what I mean?
They couldn't make it like that.
Yeah, so it was so it was, but it wasn't. I mean, I remember, but it came out first. I remember He-Man. I remember I was huge into Star Wars. And then when I was going over and I guess that was before really going into preschool. I know I was little, but like I was into Star Wars, and then like when I went to school, like preschool, then the boys were into G.I. Joe. So I still was in the Star Wars, a little bit of G.I. Joe and everything, but when 83 came, I was kind of like looking, it was for Christmas, whatever, there was nothing really, and then there was an insert from Mattel in it, like thing, and they had a whole thing of Masters of the Universe. And I was like,
that changed everything.
And it's like, oh, this is awesome.
When I was younger, like 4 or 5, my brother, who he older than me, he wasn't into toys, he was into cars. But for a short time, he had He-Man figures. And I would be like, whatever. And same thing with Star Wars. I liked the creatures. I liked, Vader and Boba Fett. And I loved Hammerhead. My neighbor across the street was my best friend. He loved He-Man. He had all the He-Mans. But when I was 8, I moved to the next town over. And in that school, I mean, I had Transformers too, but in that school, they all played with G.I. Joe, which we didn't, my school I was in before didn't. So I got it from like 85 through like 88. It was G.I. Joe, nothing else. So He-Man, I was only into for a short time when I was younger. I got back into it later on, obviously. And Transformers, I always loved. My brother actually had some Transformers because they were cars. Yeah. And same with Mask because they were cars.
Oh, yeah, that was...
and then we got into the only thing we really had in common was our love for WWF wrestling when we were kids. Like Hogan and all that, and Piper and Junkyard Dog and Beefcake and stuff. But like G.I. Joe was my main thing, but I didn't get into it later. And then once I discovered baseball cards, I dropped everything. 'Cause I didn't get into comics until later.
Yeah.
I got into comics and I don't know how old I was, 10 or 11 years old, because baseball cards brought me, because the shop was half cards, half comics. I go in there for the cards. Comics are just Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. I don't care. And then also I'm like, who's Silver Surfer? Yeah. Who's this? And Iron Man. 'Cause I went in to get a G.I. Joe comic, and I opened up and I saw Ninja Turtles and whatever. I had Ninja Turtles before I was into comics, but I didn't look at them as comics. I just thought it was like a magazine.
Yeah.
So, growing up at that time, like I don't have a bad memory because everything was. There was so many toy lines. There was so many knockoffs of toy lines. There was so many.
Well, they kept just churning them out. Visionaries,
Battle Beasts, Inhumanoids.
What was the other? Centurions.
Centurions were the ones with the bugs.
Well, the Centurions.
No, Sectors.
Sectors. The Centurions were the guys that like. It was like you can put like they had the pegs on them, so you could just build the suit, and then the bad guy was like he came in pieces, and then you could put them the two together and make them like with two heads and stuff like that, and. I remember those. What else was there? There was, Voltron.
Yeah, Voltron, which I wasn't a fan of the show. I thought it was very boring, but he was cool. He was a big, huge robot.
See, I enjoyed it. And I remember I remember when that came out because it was the first one. They brought the what you call had it?
Matchbox. It was a die-cast one.
And they were the die-cast ones. And then eventually they brought the ones where you could act with the figures and put it. I never had it. I just had the die-cast one. But then I was always, because I had the real one, but they didn't come with any of the weapons or anything like that. But if you got like the knockoff or the ones from Japan, like they had the sword.
Well, I remember going to like the pharmacy or the drugstore in my town, and they would have like a knockoff like Megatron or like Galvatron or Metroplex, and it was like the same exact figure. It was just different colors, and it was like half the price. And I didn't care. I just wanted it. You know what I mean? And I would peel off the stickers from the other ones and make it auto buy. But you didn't care. You didn't care. Like, oh, that's real. I didn't care. I just wanted it. You know what I mean? And sometimes you could only get certain ones that way. Like I remember getting like ones that were like I said, it was like a Japanese package, and it was a Transformer that never came out.
Yeah.
It was some generic company, and you were the only kid that had it, and you couldn't like. Where'd you get it? Over there. And then once they had one box, they were gone. They couldn't reorder it, and you were the only one that had it. So it was kind of neat. You had something. You couldn't go to Amazon and look for it, or eBay, that wasn't around. So like that stuff, and the world was like so big back then. Like you didn't realize like if those couple stores didn't have it, you didn't get it unless your grandmother lived in like South Carolina and she found it on the shelf down there. 'Cause I remember going to Bradley's, and they had a Jabba the Hutt play set. It was like a model set.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I remember seeing it. I wanted it, and my mom was like, "Oh yeah, next time." And we went back. It was gone. And I remember seeing the Aerial Bot gift set.
Okay, yeah.
The Transformers that combine. And they had it there. And those were kind of pricey. And my mother was like, well, maybe for Christmas or my birthday. And I never saw it again. So if you didn't see it there, you couldn't find it. I mean, where are you going to find it? You couldn't, you just had to call up all these stores looking for it. You couldn't, look it up. order it. I mean, maybe Sears catalog if you're
well, that's
lucky
the thing.
to
You
have
had like if they had a thing at the catalog and everything, but then it was like they didn't really know what the hell they were doing. So it was just like it was just like okay, you saw it in the picture, but it didn't mean that they were sending it. It was like they said it was like a transformer exactly. So they would be sending you a transformer, but yeah, So I remember that. I remember seeing those at Child World actually, because we had Toys R Us, the one on 46. That was the big one, and it had and it was before I remember before they even had the Kids R Us, where it's Office Max now, whatever now. But before it was by itself and had the big long wooden posts on the outside, the multicolored ones.
Remember those, yeah.
And that was there forever. And then I guess in the late 80s, Child World came down.
Yeah.
And there used to be a Child World over in Garden State Plaza, and it used to be out like originally it was Garden State was all outside. And I remember going there and seeing, and we didn't go there that much. And I remember going, and then they enclosed it, and you go in the mall, and there was a Child World inside, and that was just blew my mind.
I didn't have a Toys R Us near me at all. Like it was probably like a half hour away, but it seemed far. We had a Child World. It was inside the mall, but on the outside entrance, it had like the castle, like pedestals and stuff like that to go in. And I remember it was like I distinctly remember, and I wish we had you weren't allowed to take pictures in the stores back then.
Because you would need a bit.
Yeah, but you didn't like it. You weren't really allowed. But I wish you could, because I just remember especially Star Wars, because the packaging were all black. I just remember just seeing the aisles of and I remember G.I. Joe. It wasn't like one now. If you go to Target looking for something, if that one shelf doesn't have it, you would have a whole shelf of the same thing. You'd have like 20 facings of the same vehicle, and they would sell out, and then the overstock would be
on
more.
Top. Yeah.
And that's what was the big thing.
Like you said, like G.I. Joe would be half of the aisle, or whatever, and then like the next thing wouldn't be like one little section, No,
it was the aisle. It was an aisle, and 2 end caps in an aisle in a feature shop. But now it's. I mean, I guess it compare now to like Skylanders, like how they present them now.
Yeah.
And I mean, Star Wars still gets the love.
Star Wars now.
Yeah, especially at the end of this year, Star Wars is going to get the love.
They have the full aisle now, but but even there, like at Toys R Us, like I'm thinking like. Well, it's different. Like the one over here in Wayne, like it's half of it has the figures. Like it's not even all figures though. There's some figures is 6 figures. Well,
it's not driven by figures anymore.
Now
it's all
Lego. The other half is all Legos. You know what I mean? And it's like, before it would have been like there would have been a whole like 25 pegs of the figures, and then there would be next to it would be all the vehicles for it. I mean that's another thing they don't do anymore is vehicles. Like Star Wars that's what's 3 3/4 came from because of the vehicles.
Migos are too big, and they're like, we can't make a Millennium Falcon that's going to fit this thing because it's going to be the size of a car. So they shrunk it.
Yep.
And Mego actually passed on it, and then a little company named Kenner took it, and there you go.
That was the end.
That was the end. So, but I distinctly remember though, like there was a small toy shop in my town called King's Castle, and the stuff was overpriced. It was but they had everything. I remember that's where I got my Snake Eyes. I never ever saw Snake Eyes on the shelf until a guy. I remember he brought out the case. I remember seeing that case for the first time because you didn't never saw how they came out.
Yeah.
And I remember a woman was asking for Snake Eyes, and it came with the wolf.
Okay.
And I remember him opening up, and I was so nervous. And I said, "Is there another one?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I remember I was so excited because I finally got my Snake Eyes. That's the only time I ever saw him. You know what I mean? Because you could never find them. Because every time you went, it was always the same figures. Like I remember going and seeing aisles of like Bespin Han Solo, Hammerheads, Walrus Man, and Death Star Gunners. That's all you could find.
Really?
I got doubles and triples of them for Christmas. My mother would never return anything. She's like, "No, play with it." So we would have like 2 or 3 or 4 of the same figure because it was just gifts in my aunt or something like that. Be like, "Oh, Han Solo," and instead of like looking for like Greedo or like a Jawa, they'd give me something they recognize.
Well, that's why my mom used to say. Like she used to go. Like for the Star Wars stuff, she would go to everywhere. She would go to like the Kmart and Lodi. She'd go looking for Star Wars things, and she's like, "Yeah, I used to go everywhere for you, trying to find these stupid."
Now you just click the mouse. I mean, sometimes you have to pay extra for it, but you have that option. Like when people are like, "Oh, these are going for like twice the price online," I'm like, "Yeah, but you can get it." I mean, obviously you can drive around. To me, time is money. So if I waste my entire weekend driving around and all this gas, whatever, to get this figure or toy at the regular price, and if it's $20 more online, just buy it. I mean, unless you don't need it desperately. You don't need it. But
well, yeah. I mean, part of it is the fun. I mean,
of course, the hunt.
Exactly.
Now everything's given to you. I can go on eBay right now and say, you know what, I want to collect Suicide Squad. Oh, this guy gets a whole set. Click. I just bought the whole set. No, you need to run around looking for issue 23 because nobody has it for some reason. You know, or you're gonna find it in a dollar store somewhere.
It's fun.
That's gone.
Yes. I mean,
yeah, like, we were true collectors. Like our generation with baseball cards, comic books. We like
they
really
bred us that way. You know what I mean?
Well, I know that, but I'm just saying, like it was a thrill to get the set.
Well, yes.
Now you just want the hot. Now you just want the hot figure, hot toy, hot book.
All the figures said collect them all.
Yeah.
Like that was it, collect them all. You know,
Yeah.
so you wanted to collect them all. It wasn't like, you know, I kind of broke away, but still, you know, if I get into a thing, I'm like, well, I want to get them all. I don't want just like the one guy. Once I get it, and I'm like, well, like even when the new Star Wars, when that new one came out, and I was really excited when I guess
Phantom Menace.
Before that, when they did in late
'90s, yeah, the
Hasbro
Power of the Force 2.
They did the thing, and like, and I remember going, and I was in college, and I remember going, and there was a Toys R Us going there, and I found some of them, and it was still a pain in the ass to find, like Yoda was hard to find, and the people, because you know it was the new Star Wars stuff. I mean, now they look horrible, you know, they like
but at the time they were like, wow,
awesome,
this is
the
awesome.
new stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember, and I was out of it because you couldn't find anything, and I remember going whatever, and then I was just like, you know, I can't get into this. And then they had the smartest thing they ever did because like they had all this stuff clogging the shelves. They gave you an instant rebate. It was like $2, and they weren't that expensive. What they were like?
They were $4.99. They were $3.99 originally, and then they were $4.99 for a while.
So I mean, they were so cheap. So I remember going to anywhere, and like they were and they gave you it. They scanned the rebate at the thing, so you got it instantaneously. You didn't have to send it in. And it sucked me in and got me in collecting all these Star Wars figures again.
Of course, I worked at Toys R Us. I bought them. Put them on the shelf. I had every single one of them because that's what you did. Mm-hmm. And you get caught up into it if you're around it too.
Yeah.
I see a lot of guys coming in here that were casual buyers for something, and just because it just gets hot, and the next thing you know, they're like, you know what, I'll check it out because it's like, you know, you just kind of get sucked into it, and next thing you know. You get that bug, and I know some guys that were casual, and they're the worst guys now. They buy every new book because they don't know. It's just like, wow, you know, you just go. I used to be like that. I used to have to buy everything, so I just went cold turkey and I stopped.
That's the
but
best.
I can't do it half. I'd be saying it differently if I didn't own the place. Obviously, I would be a little bit different. I'd be, you know, picking. I can look at anything I want, so, you know, whenever I want, you know. How many times I want it doesn't matter.
Well, it's an overload too. After a while, you get like
you know, and I hear it all day long, and I don't read as much now because I don't need to because it just goes into my head from people talking. But I know about it, you know, unless it's something kind of obscure. It looks kind of interesting, and I'm like, yeah, I'll check this out. And I'll follow along with the book, you know, like I Kill Giants. You know, I got that book and I was sitting on my shelf for 2 years, and I finally read it, and I absolutely loved it. So it still happens, but majority of it, it's kind of like, okay, what's next? You know, because you're ordering it so far in advance.
Yeah.
But to go back to, like, how we were bred in the 80s, you know, as far as, like, you know, to go back to the cereal, which I know was, like, an hour ago, like, there was so much through that because the commercials were there, there was a toy in there, and it was connected to a TV show or a movie or a toy line.
You
know, so it was everything was a full circle. So everything almost like went through breakfast because you would sit there and stare at that box, and on the back of the box it would have an advertisement for this.
Well, that's the thing. It just goes, you know, you watch your cartoons, and then it was on a commercial, so you had a commercial for that, and a commercial for your toys and stuff like that, and you know that was your exposure. I mean, everything is, you know, TV.
And then now you don't have commercials really because you can DVR everything. You can watch Netflix. You can download things, which obviously is very convenient. Trust me.
Are there any new? I guess there's some like the Tony the Tiger. You know, I mean, still.
Yeah, but it's not the same. He's like playing soccer, and it's not like, you know, we had like, you know, Cookie Crisp. You know, they would, you know, and like the Trix Bunny. You know what I mean? Like he was trying to get that in Lucky Charms. Like,
well, remember how big that was? They used to announce the new marshmallow for Lucky Charms.
Yeah, it was a big deal. Yeah. You know, I remember they brought in the rainbow. You know, for the Lucky Charms.
Or the Purple Horseshoe. I remember that.
The Purple Horseshoe. That's right. Yeah, you voted on it.
Yeah.
And that was a big deal. Now it's like I said, you don't get the commercials. I mean, obviously you can get it online, like on a pop-up ad, or you just see it trending somewhere. But it's not the same. I mean, obviously it's instant, like with Facebook or Twitter. But you know, back in the day, you know, the commercials which drove everything because usually it coincided with the cartoon or an upcoming cartoon or a movie. You know, like I think about all these movies like Gremlins and Ghostbusters and.
Well, they didn't
all
have
the
anything.
Stuff.
Well, Gremlins...
No, but they had like they had trading cards.
Oh yeah, well yeah, they
had
did have trading cards.
And they had the cereal.
The heads. I'm thinking of remember the Gremlin heads?
Yeah.
And they had like they're almost like nerds, I guess. The candy.
Well, they were almost like not sweet tarts, Smarties. Kind of. Yeah, they were like shaped like them. But like even Jaws, like Jaws had trading cards. You can get the bubblegum candy wrappers. Like it was always something. I mean, it wasn't as it didn't explode like our generation. Like just took off with He-Man, of course, and G.I. Joe and Transformers and Turtles. I think was the peak of it. Turtles at the late '80s was just so ginormous. It was insane.
Well, they had the thing with Domino's, with the pizzas, and with the movies, they really learned how to put it all together. Yeah,
and now it's like you're almost like not allowed to do that in certain aspects towards kids, especially if it's not healthy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Well, like soda. They're taking soda machines out of schools, which I agree with. I understand that, but if you can regulate it, obviously, like I said, make it where it's a treat, not like a everyday thing. Which is the reason why I'm on a diet, is because to me it's like if I open up the fridge, I see water, can of Coke. I'm drinking the Coke.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's just a matter of it's a sometimes food. That's like you say.
Yeah,
you can have it sometimes. You know what I mean?
It's okay.
Not like if you live your life on it. Most people. I mean, there's always that outlier, the people that like just drink alcohol all the time and they live to 108.
Yeah,
but, but like you have it sometimes. Like McDonald's. Like I love chicken McNuggets.
Oh, they're so bad for you, but I love them.
They taste so good.
There's something about McDonald's chicken nuggets, their fries and their Coke, which is sweeter than other Cokes. There's some of that greasy combo I love. I salivate over it.
Well, they're the first ones. There was no chicken nuggets. There was nothing when we were kids. Like kids eat chicken nuggets all the time.
No, it was just burgers.
Burgers, fries. I mean, no chicken sandwich. There really was no chicken food. Like you could get fried chicken from KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Fried Chicken. Back then, yeah.
But you didn't have chicken nuggets. And at McDonald's was the first one to come out with the chicken nugget. And then every other nugget came. I mean, somebody, my place had, but like mainstream, big thing, McDonald's was the one that did the McNugget.
Yeah, and they did the Happy Meal too, which is what, they always had the cool toy. I mean, you would go nuts just getting all the toys. And then eventually you could just buy the toy directly.
Yeah, because people were like, well, I want this. And
no, I took my daughter to, she loves, one of the only foods she'll eat is Wendy's chicken nuggets. And I go there, and they had the Teen Titans Go Happy Meals.
Okay.
I mean, I guess the kids' meal.
Yeah.
And it has all the stickers of all of them. And these cardboard cutouts you'd pop them out, and you can build like block figures of Robin and Raven and all them like that. And Starfire. She knows who they all are now because of that. She comes. I bring her here. She goes right to pick up a Teen Titans Go comic book. She goes, look, Daddy, this Raven. So she knows who they are. But a lot of times they're kind of like generic. They're not like I remember like Pokemon ones were big. In the 90s, I remember people getting fights over it and Beanie Babies and stuff like that. But when we were kids, though, like, the toys weren't even towards movies. They like what to do with this McDonald's characters.
Well, yes. They would have those. I mean, but they did, like McDonald's, like, the cups. Remember the
Burger King glasses from like Star Wars, stuff like that. I still have those back at my parents' house. Like the Return of Jedi and stuff like that. That was a big deal. You had the whole full set of Burger King. They would release one a week.
Yep.
For 8 weeks or whatever it was.
You know what? Like you're saying, like they do have the stuff though. Because I know I saw something recently because they're doing like a G.I. Joe thing at Burger King or McDonald's or something. Like they had the girl one and the boy, but they don't advertise it because they can't advertise it. Like it's just like, oh look, they're doing a G.I. Joe thing. I guess unless you go and you look in the box that they say what they're doing for the thing, you don't know what they're doing. Before they would like advertise the hell out of it, and it would be like there'd probably be like.
Well, I didn't know the Teen Titans was there, so I literally drove up and I saw the sign for it. Cause I usually just get her nuggets, and I'm like, I'll get it. Cause you can get like instead of fries, you can get apple slices. Yeah. You couldn't do that back then. Now you can literally get apple slices and water. Well, back then you just got like.
Well, you could like they have milk now and stuff like that. Like before, it wasn't just like that. You got a soda and fries and whatever, like a hamburger or chicken nuggets or whatever. Yeah.
So it's choices. You just got to pick the right ones. Obviously. Unless you're like me and you get 40 pounds overweight and you can't do that. But besides the point, and go back to my cereal point, is to this day I still love cereal. Even though I'm almost 40 years old, that would be my food of choice. If there's one thing I miss or I could eat without any consequences or health issues, I would eat cereal all the time, every day. I love milk and I love cereal. I just do. And our generation did. And I'm still baffled by Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Why is it so big? And I know I'm going to get killed for this. I got killed for it on Facebook the other day, but it is what it is. You know, like the generation is everybody's in a rush now, and you know, obviously, listen, I drink shakes in the morning. It's easier than sitting down and cooking something. I get it. But there's just something about sitting down, watching a cartoon with a big. You ever see Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
Mm-hmm.
He has that huge bowl of cereal. That's basically what I would eat every day. You know, because it's, you know, whether it's Frosted Flakes or Blueberry or Cookie Crisp. Or,
you know what you reminded me. You were saying with that. How about the small packs? Like the single serve ones?
Yeah, like when you go to like a diner, they have them
exactly.
now.
But you can always get. I remember getting them, and there was like 8.
And I would never eat the Apple Jacks.
Well, that's
I hate Apple Jacks.
You hate like these. I like the Apple Jacks.
My mother would get them, and she would always make sure. And she's like, "Oh," because there was always one in there I wouldn't eat, and it was either Apple Jacks or Cocoa Crisp or something.
See, that's the thing. Like they always would put like 2 Frosted Flakes in there, like which it's fine, but I don't like the corn pops. I would love to eat the honey. I love those. The Honey Smacks, Apple Jacks,
Honey Smacks,
Cocoa Krispies.
No, I don't.
Apple,
like those.
honey. The wheels.
I
can't remember.
I know
the box
they
is huge.
They had commercials too, a lot too.
That used to be that. Well, the
only one you really see now commercials is the Honey Nut Cheerios with the bee.
Yeah, they still.
One's still pretty.
Well, because they're doing it because it's the heart thing and stuff like that. So they
cholesterol and all stuff, which is great. Believe me, it's great. But it is something about eating a box of Blueberry that you cannot compare.
Well, but later on with Blueberry, like now it's just that was even kind of borderline because you could always get
Count Chocula and Frankenberry, which I don't like either of them. And Blueberry was always the third one in line. Yeah. Blueberry you couldn't find everywhere.
Well, just like Fruit Boop and Yummy Mummy.
Yes, Yummy Mummy.
They were like short times.
Yeah.
And, because it was out. Because like when we were young, all 3 were out, and then they kind of phased Blueberry out. Like
I remember it was like gone.
And then you would have the 2, and now it's like you said, it's just like seasonal. And
that's fine. It makes me appreciate it more. It's like I didn't realize Malamars were seasonal until like last year when Nick, who works here, told me. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "What?" I never know that because I don't. I love them, but I don't usually buy them regularly. I'm like, "No, I always see them." Then I realized they're seasonal.
Well, it's like one of those things. Like at the time, maybe it made sense. Now they could do it if they wanted to, but now it just makes it more special now.
Yeah, and like it's like Cadbury eggs. They're on the shelf a lot longer now. I noticed they used to be just for a short time. Now they're you can find that candy a lot more often now.
Well, they have holiday. Like they had ones at Halloween now, and they have ones at Christmas. I mean, before it was Easter, and that was it.
Well, but if you remember too, like Peeps, there was just one kind of Peeps. Yeah. Now there's like sour watermelon Peeps. There's Peeps everything. Everything's expanding.
There was Peeps. You had the chick or the bunny rabbit at Easter. Then they went into like the ghost and the pumpkin and all the stuff.
Now it's everything. So now it's which is
Well, it's good. I mean,
marketing.
Exactly. Well, if you only make those things, the Peeps. I mean, like let's make it all year round instead of
and they're not very healthy for you either. But I love them. So I like marshmallow bunnies. That's my main thing.
I don't like the texture. The marshmallow.
Peeps?
Yeah. And,
I know. I'm talking about. I'm sorry. I like chocolate covered marshmallow bunnies. That's my favorite Easter candy.
Still with
the Brax ones.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Oh, I'll eat buckets of those.
I think it's the marshmallow. I just don't like it. It just doesn't like. I'm very consistency, not taste wise, but consistency stuff. And I like soft stuff and everything, but just the way like that is like it just. I'll eat it. I can force myself to eat it.
Of course, it's candy. Come on.
I'll pick something else.
Yeah, you would choose something else. But if it was given to you at the proper moment, you would eat it.
Well, yeah, of course.
Of course. You know.
Candy is good.
You're not crazy. Come
on, candy's the best thing in the world.
I love candy. I do. Candy and soda and all that junk. I lost my ice cream's fallen off a lot for me. I used to love ice cream. I don't like ice cream as much. But candy will always be up there.
See, I was silly. Like, I just can't, like, with my lactose thing, I just can't buy a cone, which I would love to do. I have to plan it and everything. And even with that, you take the medicine, it's not always effective. But, you know what I would love to have is
I wish I had that problem because then milkshake, I wish I had that problem because then I could regulate myself better. When you don't have that problem, you just go. And to be fair, I used to run like crazy, so I never really gained weight. So I could eat whatever. But once everything stopped, I realized my diet's like, and I only like 5 different things, and 5 of them I can't eat anymore. It's hard. So that's what happens. But I do love, the generation we grew up in is I actually sometimes feel bad. I mean, I know everybody's like, "Oh, you didn't have the internet." I love the internet. Trust me, I love the Facebook and the Twitter, and like looking stuff up instantly, the box scores for baseball games, whatever, and watching a replay on your phone. But there's something about we didn't need it. We didn't know didn't know about it. So you just
lived your life.
You just lived your life, and like I said, playing with your figures or eating cereal was like the highlight of your day, and it was fine.
Well, it's like like we say, how do you miss like if you were going out to make plans and stuff. But you didn't, you just did it. You just
figured it out. It was
exactly.
different, and it wasn't. You weren't accustomed to it. You just did it. You just figured it out. And if somebody's late, you just waited for them. And it's just.
Or you had to make plans. Like this is what
you
we're
made
doing.
Plans. We're gonna meet here at 6. If you're not here by 6:15, we're leaving.
We're going. You can do. It's hard to do stuff on the fly. You couldn't be like, okay, we're doing this. We're doing. You
planned it. Next Saturday, we're gonna go see this and whatever. So, but. Sorry, we got a little off track. I really just wanted to talk about cereal, but they all go. To me, it all goes together because it's all my childhood. Everything meshes together, and cereal is just it's up there because I truly do love cereal.
Of course, we could always have one, candy someday.
We're doing a candy one. Trust me, I love me some candy. Believe me, but maybe do that towards the holidays, Halloween or something. But thank you for listening. I apologize. We kind of went off topic here, and. Could I just, cereal leads into everything else.
Well, it does.
Because good things lead to better things. And that's what happens. So, for Johnny Knoll, I'm Corey Brown, and, this is Zapp Comics Radio Podcast, and then we'll see you next time.
Night.
Be good, guys. Zapp Comics Radio.